Beckhams have become one of the most famous couples of all time out of the UK. Just recently they stayed out of controversy until their own son exposed them and put out a massive statement. Apparently they're controlling. Apparently they only care about what is in the media headlines and spending time with family when there's loads of cameras. Is that the truth, or is their son just a spoilt brat who never actually grew up and was seeking attention? Let's get into it.
The damage Brooklyn Beckham has done to his family's brand is actually unforgivable.
So let's take this back to April 2022. Brooklyn, then 23, and Nicola marry in a lavish ceremony at their family's Palm Beach estate. Rumours of tensions with Victoria began immediately when Nicola wears a Valentino gown instead of a custom Victoria Beckham design. Nicola later explains that Victoria couldn't deliver it in time despite the initial excitement. This already sparked some feud speculation. August 2022, Brooklyn and Nicola addressed the rumours in interviews and saying there's no feud and the family gets along. Public appearances suggest unity, including Brooklyn, Nicola attending the premiere of David's Netflix docuseries Beckham in October 2023 and Victoria supporting Nicola's film Lola premiere in February 2024. Nicola herself publicly denied any ongoing issues. Tensions appear to simmer privately, with reports later claiming pre-wedding pressure from David and Victoria trying to get Brooklyn to sign away his rights to his name and bribing attempts.
It is pretty unclear what Brooklyn Beckham actually meant by his parents trying to get him to sign over the rights to his name. What I think it means is that the Beckhams went to him before he entered this marriage, because obviously once you get married, the status of things like IP rights changes, the status of things like assets owned by you changes, and by happening before the marriage, essentially it's legally different. So they don't, potentially become marital assets. And what I think they said to him is that, look, we are a business. We have perfume, we have fashion, we have this, we have that. Sign over the rights to your name so that we can continue to merchandise and use that. And of course, we'll take care of you. And if things go badly with your marriage, those rights will still be preserved by us.
So right now, Victoria Beckham, his mother, owns the registered trademark rights to her children's names, including Brooklyn, Romeo, Cruz, and Harper, covering areas like clothing and cosmetics. While the registrations were filed in 2016 to 17, it allows the parents to control the brand Beckham image, and UK law generally permits individuals to use their own names, creating a complex dispute over commercial versus personal branding rights. So when he gets married, we'll also add a layer of complexity to this situation on who owns what and how we can use it.
And from what I read in the rest of the message, they think maybe she has ancillary motives, maybe this, maybe that. And so they don't want him to go out and license his name through her, with her support, with her assistance, because if they do so and things go badly, she may be able to hold on to those rights.
Reports emerge of a rift between Brooklyn and his brother Romeo Beckham, allegedly tied to Romeo dating a model, DJ Kim Turnbull, who had a past link to Brooklyn in their teens. Sibling tensions add fuel.
And so he is like, I don't like this. I don't want them dating. This is not good. And because of that dislike for Kim, it is now cast Brooklyn and his wife kind of out of the family. And that we know that him and the wife did not go to David Beckham's 50th birthday the other day. They showed up in London to basically meet up with them, and they said, nope, if you're not coming to the celebration, we're not meeting up.
This is not the only thing causing a divide, and to be fair, he may have a valid point on this one. So Brooklyn Beckham was dating a woman that now one of his younger brothers is dating, and they obviously have an issue with that. When he stated his problem, they just done funny little TikToks and indirects back, mocking him, calling him a hater over the situation. Brooklyn thinks he's in the right and his other brothers are thinking he's in the wrong. But should you date someone that your brother already has? In May 2025, Brooklyn and Nicola are notably absent from David's star-studded 50th birthday celebrations in London, and sources claim Brooklyn didn't want to attend if certain people linked to the sibling drama were there. Brooklyn and Nicola reportedly buy a multi-million-dollar mansion in Los Angeles, seen by some as a permanent move away from the UK-based family. Brooklyn and Nicola renewed their wedding vows at a ceremony with 200 guests. No Beckhams attend, and Brooklyn reportedly doesn't mention his parents in his speech. This absence is widely noted as a sign of estrangement. October 2025, Victoria's Netflix documentary series airs. Brooklyn and Nicola appear in the background footage and skip the premiere, raising more questions. Brooklyn hints at a family issue in interviews, crediting his supported wife amid negative talk, and reports claim Brooklyn blocks his parents and siblings on Instagram around Christmas. Cruz Beckham posts indirects calling someone a fraud in similar posts. A reported cease and desist legal letter from Brooklyn and Nicola asked the family to stop tagging them and communicate only via lawyers. But the breaking point was this year in January 2026. Brooklyn posts a lengthy multi-slide Instagram statement breaking his silence.
The damage Brooklyn Beckham has done to his family's brand is actually unforgivable. Like, he's all like, oh, my parents controlled narratives in the press about our family. It's like, yes, mate, that is called branding. That is literally how you build and protect a global empire with hundreds of millions. David and Victoria didn't wake up famous and have their whole life handed to them. They worked ridiculously hard for everything they've got. And to be honest, Brooklyn's never had to work a day in his life. Like, are we forgetting his photography book and that awful elephant in Kenya picture? Like, right, fair enough, the dancing thing sounds a bit weird, but you handle that shit privately. You don't air it out on Instagram for 16 million people. And who doesn't have parents or in-laws that have done something embarrassing or annoying? And God forbid Brooklyn and Nicola had to organise, in fact, not even organise, but pay someone else to organise a second multi-million-dollar wedding because the first one was just too traumatic for them. The Beckhams built a brand that will outlive all of them. And Brooklyn is undermining decades of work with a temper tantrum because he doesn't know how to build anything half as worthwhile. You don't torch the house just because you don't like the wallpaper.
The key allegations were that his parents were trying endlessly to ruin his relationship with Nicola. Victoria cancelling Nicola's wedding dress in the 11th hour. Pressure bribes for him to sign away his rights to his name, affecting him, Nicola, and his future kids. Victoria hijacking their first dance at the wedding. Mark Anthony called Victoria on stage instead, referring to her as the most beautiful woman in the room, leading to an inappropriate mother-son dance that left Nicola in tears and Brooklyn humiliated. His parents apparently been prioritising brand Beckham over the real family, controlling the press narratives and making the love conditional on social media and photo ops. Brooklyn states he has peace and relief since distancing himself and does not want to reconcile. He claims he's standing up for himself for the first time. Through this statement, half of the people were already on his family side. You see, Brooklyn Beckham's always had this image of just being a spoiled kid. He's jumped from job to job, doesn't really know what he wants to do, and he's always been an outcast to his family, and it seems now that they've separated ways completely.
His first job as a barista back in the day and was praised for it. What a humble thing, a Beckham being a barista. Naturally, he tries football. He played for Arsenal's youth team, but was released when he was 16 years old. The interesting thing here is David gave a statement saying he was heartbroken in 2015 when his son decided he didn't want to play football anymore. So was he released or did he quit? Next, he signs a modeling deal that's reportedly worth 1 million euros with a company called Superdry, which I believe to be a streetwear brand. They announced less than a year later that they decided to work with different brand ambassadors and weren't working with Brooklyn Beckham anymore. Then he tells Entertainment Tonight that his dad bought him his first camera and his mom encouraged him to pursue photography and he fell in love with it through posting photos on Instagram. So naturally, he releases a photography book. This is one of the pages from his photography book. It says, "Elephants in Kenya. So hard to photograph, but incredible to see." And they pointed this out in my podcast this morning. But why are you showing us this in a photography book if it was hard to photograph? Aren't you the photographer? Then he's a chef and releases Cooking with Brooklyn. And this is not just a YouTube channel. This show reportedly cost $100,000 an episode to make and 62 crew members. Interesting coincidence that Cooking with Brooklyn came to be right after Cooking with Paris was renewed for a second season with Netflix. And it is the same concept. Then he opens a restaurant with Uber Eats where you can only have the food delivered, obviously, and it's made by him. Most recently, as of March of last year, he was a race car driver, training to be a Formula E driver for a documentary filmed in Miami. I'm definitely poking fun here, but I do admire the courage to try new things and to figure out what you're good at, especially growing up in a family with a talented athlete and a musician. I can imagine it's hard to find your footing.
No matter what he posted, even when he was saying he got stuff from his dad, he was getting them typical comments. My dad bought me everything and he was just a spoiled kid for years growing up.
My dad got me this for Christmas. I call it the Rolex Pepsi. I really like vintage Rolexes, like the old Submariners, the old Steve McQueen Submariners. I'm lucky enough that I have one Patek that my dad bought me for my 21st birthday, which is like, it's like my favorite watch, but I only wear for like special events and stuff like that. And then my mother-in-law bought me and my wife matching Cartier, you know, like the old school square ones. So she bought us those, which we wear sometimes together, but today I'm wearing the Pepsi.
This is why many people are always on the parents' side, saying they worked hard for everything and just want to protect it.
Don't you think it must be devastating to be brought up in such wealth and privilege as Brooklyn Beckham? look, right.
Must be so hard.
I know.
A bit like Prince Harry.
As a fellow lad from a working class home on a council estate, I know where you're coming.
Yeah.
But I suspect there are princes and princesses in Saudi Arabia who would prefer less bejeweled lifestyles than being controlled by their families. And this lad is just, you're right, he's exploded. And there's some really horrible personal stuff that can't be taken back.
He also claimed that his family encouraged his brothers to attack him online before blocking them. David and Victoria stayed mostly silent publicly. They're reportedly stunned and saddened. Although David Beckham has made vague comments about family mistakes in interviews, the rest of the family, including his brothers, appear to remain aligned with the parents. Recent reports mention emotional moments like Romeo getting visibly upset during A. Crew's performance, referencing the family issues. Between January 20th and 23rd, David responds vaguely in a public appearance, noting kids make mistakes on social media, and the wedding DJ Fat Tony confirms details of the first dance incident on TV, describing it as awkward, and Nicola and Brooklyn are said to have sent legal notices earlier.
No one really knows exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No one actually knows. But you was actually there.
Yeah.
I mean, was she dutty whining on the dance floor? What was she doing?
There was no. I'm not allowed to say slut dropping, but I'm going to say it. There was no slut dropping. There was no black cat PVC cat suit.
There was no twerking.
There was no Spice Girl action. What it was the word inappropriate. Why I said it was inappropriate as well was because at the time it was the timing. So what happened was, this is what happened, guys. Right. So basically, Mark Anthony was performing on stage. He then called Brooklyn onto stage. Brooklyn went onto the stage where the next minute everyone was expecting it to be Nicola to go up and do the first dance. And then Mark Anthony asks the most beautifulest woman in the room to come to the stage. And then he says, Victoria, come to the stage. So Victoria's by the stage. She goes onto the stage. And of course, at that point, Brooklyn's like suddenly, literally devastated because he thought he was going to do his first dance with his wife. Then Nicola leaves the room crying her eyes out. Brooklyn's stuck there on stage, and then they do this dance, and Mark Anthony's like, "Go, put your hands on your mother's hips," and it was a Latin, it's a Latin thing, and the whole situation was really awkward for everyone in the room. And I've done an awful lot of Beckham parties in the past, and they're a very dancey, close-knit family. They love to dance.
David and Victoria post public birthday wishes to Brooklyn turning 27, seen by some as extending an olive branch amid the ongoing rift. People saying they're not responding because they don't want to make this worse. Obviously, they may want to rekindle their relationship with their son, but also in a crisis and panic that Brooklyn will expose the darkest family secrets. I feel like it could have been a friendly fire in the initial statement, but he could expose a lot more. Family photos and recaps often exclude Brooklyn or Nicola. Brooklyn says that Nicola, his partner, has been constantly disrespected by his family. He claimed the night before the wedding, family members told him that she was not family and not blood, and there was endless attacks from his parents, both privately and publicly, and they were even sending stuff to the press on their orders to make up stuff about them. His father refused quality time unless it was at big events with hundreds of guests and cameras at every corner. Brooklyn Beckham's partner's family actually come from $1 billion fortune and actually dwarfs the amount of David and Victoria's combined 650 to 900 million. People are saying that the Beckhams are working class kids that done good, who do come from some money but have been careful with their money and don't spoil their children in an unnecessary manner, whereas Brooklyn's partner Nicola's family are the opposite and have reportedly helped the young couple financially with their $11 million mansion. Apparently, David and Victoria have been accused of being tight with their cash and not properly supporting Beckham. Some suggest that Victoria acted like a jealous girlfriend towards Nicola early on, and that the Beckhams felt threatened by Nicola's independent wealth through her family and pulling Brooklyn towards a US lifestyle. Brooklyn apparently gained access to a different level of old money security that doesn't depend on the constant public performances through the Beckham family. How do you guys feel about Brooklyn Beckham going up against his own family? Was there some stuff that was unforgivable, like his brother dating a girl that he once did and them trying to ruin his relationship, despite the money tap that was being put into his pocket from the Beckhams? He doesn't even need that now. He has the comfortability of the wealth behind his girlfriend. Doesn't seem like he has a job still to this day. Again, doesn't need it. He's used to just living how he wants.